from the software world, you don't want to be to adopt the .0 version. Right?
No, actually, you start at the 0.9 if you want stability and support, and stuff to not crash because reasons, or at least those reasons are, fairly negligible.
Yeah, I want a later model chip. All right, I don't want these early chips injected in. I want like the good ones.
Yeah. Yeah, once they found the cancer and other sort of tumor data, once that's squared away, then you start injecting them.
So one idea I have, and I'll run this by you, Tanim, is so Python is just one language in the pool, right?
Yeah.
And the two popular scripting languages, it seems, are Python and Node, and so it makes sense to have to have a group where you talk about both, right?
Yeah.
Because
like maybe the Node front end, or Node is the back end. It's actually JavaScript but server stuff, right?
Right. They're two different ways to do the same thing, right? They're both server-side languages. And then I watched this guy do a sorting algorithm. He did it in Python. He did it in Rust, and in Rust it was like 1,000 times faster.
What did he do in Python? Did he use NumPy crap or just the normal?
Did he do what?
Did he use any NumPy crap, or did he just do it all in raw, uncut Python, which is pretty crappy for a lot of things?
He didn't use NumPy. I think he just used the built-in.
Okay.
The built-in data types.
All right. Okay. All right.
So.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, NumPy is implemented in what, C++?
I think C and Fortran.
Right. So it's going to be better than just raw. Python. The default Python.
Yeah. But okay, I think it wasn't a fair comparison. Well, I don't know for sure. Maybe he's got some weird ass dynamic data structure, a tree, for instance, which NumPy can't really handle that well in general. And Rust, just blows it out of the water easily. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I hear these comparisons and I'm not sure how practical they are, because even moderately skilled Python programmers know about NumPy for doing a lot of, just not too painful optimizations.
Right. So have you ever compared NumPy to just like straight C or straight Rust?
I'm not skilled enough in C to do that.
Sorry, C++. Right?
Yeah, I'm not skilled enough anymore in C or C++ to do an honest comparison. I just knows my NumPy, and for my use case, it can generally be pretty fast. I can even do a lot of, duplicate finding even through NumPy. So, equivalent set-like operations in NumPy. And that can be pretty fast, so,
Yeah. Have you worked with SQL Alchemy?
Yes, quite a bit. There's that a GitHub, well, I would say quite a bit, but I haven't really exercised all the functionality. My tables are just simple rows without any foreign keys or anything like that. There's no inner or outer joins that I do. It's just basically, here's the SQL table, but with an ORM in SQL Alchemy, and that's it.
Right. So so of course in all the beginner tutorials, they have Flask SQL Alchemy, right? When you're using
Yeah,
Flask application, they have that Flask SQL Alchemy adapter, and I get all these strange
Hey,
errors.
what's up, Angela?
Hey,
Hey,
Angela.
Fernando.
Did you go to
Someone
Caltech?
Wait, what?
Oh, sorry. I must know another Angela Way who went to Caltech. Sorry about that.
Fine.
Welcome all.
Welcome, by the way. Oh yeah, you were saying, Robert?
Yeah, so pretty much, so most of the beginner tutorials say, oh, we'll use Flask SQL Alchemy, which is this adapter, right? Takes the SQL Alchemy library and adapts it to use the Flask application object.
Or it's sort of something for where it's a lot easier for Flask to, create and access ORM data structures through SQL Alchemy. That's my understanding of it.
Right, but so I used that for like a year, and I get all these strange session errors.
I couldn't help you there, unfortunately, since I use the SQL Alchemy stuff as a configuration store, right? So it's just read in just once, or if there's a change in some configuration data, it's pushed in and that's it. There isn't anything complexulated about the way I'm doing all that stuff.
Yeah. Then I started reading these articles that saying, no, don't do that. Just use SQL Alchemy straight from Flask. And when I started doing that, problems went away.
Okay, so hearing don't use Flask SQL Alchemy because it's bullshit.
Right.
Which is fine, yeah, You should see me when I complain about code at work. Oh God, today was at least the person who's in charge of the code I'm complaining about wasn't in on the call sort of conversation I had. It devolved into, this is a fucking piece of shit for what I'm trying to do. They said the functionality was there. It never was actually implemented, let alone, it wasn't tested, let alone, implemented, let alone tested, that sort of thing. And I think that's how I motivate myself with having to deal with crappy software or crappy processes. But by crappy, I also include untested and failing in mysterious ways.
It sounds about par for the course.
Hey, I'm not a software developer, so that's why I still kind of enjoy software development.
All right, so we got a little after the hour. We're going to give people 10 minutes to gather here, so keep saying hi. Robert, if you could help me on, are you allowed to admit people in the waiting room? I think you're the host now.
Cool.
If you could help me keep an eye on that. We got Jonathan waiting. Hey, Jonathan, how's it going? Welcome.
Hi.
All right. I hope everyone got the memo. We're going to get started with like a Scrum. We want to hear your project updates or blockers, obviously Python related. Ooh, we got Nejla waiting for us, Robert. Can we get her?
Oh, there he is. Yep.
Cool. I'm going to go run and grab something. We'll get started with that at 10:10. So sharing is, let's see. Do you guys want to share between now and then? No, let's just keep this and we'll let the conversation keep going. But I'm going to be doing a little bit more housekeeping and we'll get started at like 7:10. Talk to you guys soon.
Cool.
Well, 10:10 for me here in Eastern. Anyway, I'll be around.
Yeah, it's going to be like midnight by the time you're done. That's insane.
The show must go on. We're going to work on some other ones. Robert, tell them a little bit about adding another monthly thing. Maybe we could do something early in the morning.
Well, people just keep popping up. So this group has been focused on Python, but there are a number of different server-side languages, and I think it's good to kind of compare them to see where some have strengths over others. I really like the SQL SQL Alchemy library for working with databases, and from what I've read, it's actually better than anything so far in other languages like Node. So yeah, we're going to be starting another group to do this kind of cross-language server-side comparisons. So how is everyone tonight?
I am good.
Yeah, you look good.
I mean, here's this guy here. Here you go, Jumbo. Yep. I have a pet parrot. And he went back to eating his berries.
Yeah. He's not giving away your secrets?
I mean, everything I do is BSD2 licensed, so, you know, whatever. I am a hardcore communist in a lot of ways. I don't believe anything should cost money or be restricted for any reason, really. It's just barriers. So that makes, you know, starting a business with me complicated.
All right. So I see we have some new people tonight. Welcome.
Oh, can you hear me?
Hi, Jonathan.
Okay,
yeah,
nice to meet you all.
Yeah, everyone's microphone is muted by default, so you have to unmute it before you can talk.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Sorry, I'm gonna keep my microphone muted because somebody started pressure washing outside. So sorry about that.
Oh, it's probably
Yeah.
It happens every time you join a meeting. Somebody outside is doing something, right?
How's the weather where you guys are? Are you guys in Sacramento?
I am.
What's the temperature right now? I think it's like maybe 80 degrees here in Livermore.
It's 85 in Roseville.
Yeah.
Ah,
It's about the same.
It's around the same in Folsom, so.
gotcha.
I guess you got kind of the same weather pattern as we do.
Wait,
Yeah.
you're gonna show us your like COVID map thing. Can't you make like literally a weather map?
I can do that, sure. But I don't want you to put me on the spot. Like, okay, get the weather map.
Yeah. No,
Right
you
now.
got 3 minutes. Go.
No, the most important thing is that you can do an overlay while you're doing the weather, right?
You know, I just opened it up to Zoom bombs, and they'll just probably put a penis somewhere as an annotation, you know, in the movie. I'm sure I'd put the functionality in there just to allow something like that to happen.
Yep.
But yeah,
With
I could do weather.
Great power comes great responsibility. All right, we got Dan. Hey, Dan, how's it going? All right, Dan, Scrum meeting starts in 2 minutes. Make sure you got your project blockers or updates ready.
This is the performance review.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's a 360 performance review. So obviously everyone knows everyone here. Let's see. Terry Pham, I'm putting you on the spot if you're willing to unmute. What are you working on lately? Option if we don't hear from Terry. Jonathan, I know we were talking to you earlier. What are you working on?
I'm kind of between projects right now because I'm at Sac State and I'm in school. But the last thing that I finished up over my winter break was I did a like Quizlet to MP3 conversion. So it's like you take flashcards and then you convert it to an MP3 so you can listen to like, it's kind of like you can do like translations and stuff like that too. So it works with different languages. And yeah, I finished that up. I've been using GTTS, which uses Google Cloud's API.
Oh. And do you use FFmpeg for the MP3 creation?
Let's see, what did I use? I think it was Google Cloud's API that does the conversion to text to speech.
To create the MP3s. Cool.
Yeah.
It might use FFmpeg under the hood. You can see the metadata. Maybe the metadata will tell you. But...
It probably does. I can link the GitHub for it really quick.
Oh, yeah, what's the side channel we should use? I'm thinking either this chat or the Discord, if people don't know about it.
I'm not in the Discord right now.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we could use the chat.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, and it's using Flask too.
Okay, cool. So where's the Flask server live? Is it on your own?
Yeah, it's local. I don't have it set up on this computer I'm using now. I was using my laptop for it.
I see the app.py. Quizzle TMP3. Neat.
Anyone else got anything? It's 10 after the hour. I'm just about ready here. I'm just setting up a few minutes.
I can go first if you want to, Woody.
Sounds good to me. What have I done? What was that pulsing? Yeah, well, we'll do the intro first. So I'm not going to make this too confusing by making this one long rolling April Fool's joke. So we'll just stick to, I messed with the format a little bit. Welcome to SacPy. We thought we'd have some actual snakes this time. I think that might even be a python. I don't know, but it was snaky. So yeah,
some snake, yeah.
He looks happy.
Yeah. Momentary rebrand. We're going for max eye searingness. April 1st, 2021. Still the pandemic. Here we are. I hope everybody has gotten their pizza and beer ready, or at least some sort of beverage. Maybe we could toast for today's community photo. We'll get to that later. If we were doing this in person, we used to do this at the Urban Hive in Sacramento. We'd have pizza and beers, but now I think we have quite a bit more in the way of geographical spread, and I think that's kind of the cool part about doing this over Zoom. So yeah, we'll maybe go over that a little later. This is a Brazen Studios production. My company, Brazen Studios, I do collaborations with people. I'm kind of like Tanim. I don't like using money. I like more using I get to cook in your kitchen or something like that.
Yeah.
And I slap this thing on the end. So SacPy was founded back in February of 2017 by Josh Mills. He's not with us tonight. He pops in from time to time. Again, another cool part about the Zoom. I'm doing this from Virginia now. He originally moved away to Tennessee and decided he couldn't do it. So I think he's got no excuse now if I'm doing it from Virginia. So I got to bug him more often. He's been on here. He's really good about showing up. But yeah, so hats off to our great founder, Josh Miller, who once thought, hey, I could probably do some sort of nonprofit thing where at least once a month we get pizza and beer and talk nerdy.
You'll get your pizza in 3 to 5 weeks.
Yeah, maybe we can get that push for pizza app ported into Python or something like that. We'll do that at some point. All right, our one and only sponsor is the San Francisco Python group. They do an annual conference called PyBay. They hooked us up with a Zoom account, so that's why we don't have to log off every 40 minutes, and that's why I don't have to have much of anything in the way of like a business around this to make this possible. I should probably do that at some point. It's on the list. Start the nonprofit.
You're not paying any money now, so.
Yeah, for now we got a Zoom account, and get to talk with all you guys, and it's cool to meet everyone. I don't know if you noticed, I put this Discord link in the chat if you'd like.
Okay, thanks. I'll join that.
That same one is right here. Come chat with us. We originally were organized as a channel in the SacTech Slack. The email is as such, and I'll put that in the chat too. And then Discord, I forget how it came onto the scene for me, but I think it was when I was getting started, my second phase of my career in software development, and I made a Discord for school. Discord's been pretty cool, so I hang out there a good amount. Both of those links are in the chat. So, I should do links for all these too. Would make it easier, huh? But follow us on Twitter. Tweet occasionally. I basically follow everyone who follows us. Maybe at some point someone will jump in there and show me how it's supposed to be done, and we can make something of that. I think we get occasionally a person or two from Sac or from Twitter. So I don't know. If you build it, they will come. That's the general concept. Also got a subreddit. Reddit is where I learned never to share Zoom links. That is how you get Zoom bombed. That was a lot of fun though. I think I have that one recorded. I need to look into that. Someone lent us their link. I'll have to hit them up about that. That was pretty funny. They said it was like 50 a second by the end. It was also really early on in the pandemic, so I don't know. We got a Facebook group too. I sometimes remember to add people in there. Maybe I should add a moderator. Ping me, DM me on Facebook. How do you say it? It's Messenger. So then, what's message me? I don't know if I like it. Kind of rhymes. It rhymes with orange though. And then we got a Facebook page too. Sometimes I remember to do stuff like make events and actually post stuff. I don't know. So here we are from last time. Our numbers are growing. I feel like in a weird way we should cap the attendance based on how many people get added to the frame in the next one. So it'll be growing slightly. I don't know. Anyway, if you don't want to participate in this, just don't turn your camera on. But if you'd like to get on the next layer of the Brady Bunch photo with us, now's the time to turn on. You think, how can I get this so that I can look at? How do you do it so you can look at the Brady Bunch mode?
I
there it
don't
is.
know. Anybody who's knows enough about
I think
Zoom?
I found it.
Oh, you did.
I got it. Uh-oh. No, it's gone now. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So if you go to full screen. All right, cool. We got a few. Camille's looking. It's ready. Oh, there's Cliff. Cool. All right. Feel free to put up still photos like Angela's done too. That's totally valid as well if you got a favorite shot. But all right, I'm just gonna start taking a bunch of them. I think this is working. Oh, there's Robert. He's back. All right. Wait, where's your drinks? Everybody, cheers. Oh no, I gotta turn off my active background or it's not gonna work. Uh-oh. Oh, well, too bad for me. Anyway, cheers.
Cheers.
Invisible can. Oh, that's good for product placement. You could just put whatever in there. All right. Thank you all. Let us get back to the show at hand. All right. So first up today, got Tanim with the next installment of the COVID visualization he's been working on. He's got a lot to show us. He's going to do some stuff with Jupyter notebooks and talk a little bit about pandas and probably a bunch of other stuff too.
And probably a bunch of other stuff. All right, let me start the share. Oh, it says you cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing.
That is right.
There we go. All right, let's do
Good to
the
go.
start share. Okay, let's see what I can share. God, I've got too many damn windows open. All right, let's do this, and let's do this, and yeah, here we go. So let's see, there's a COVID-19 stuff. Are you guys seeing all this? Something that says COVID-19 running update.
Yep,
Everybody
looking
see
good.
that?
Can you zoom the
All right.
text in a little?
Yes.
I figured, you know, a better way to
Hey, Tanim.
consolidate. What was that?
Could you zoom the text in a little so it's a little easier?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm
Is
getting
this
old, man.
better?
Wait.
I can't really tell how big it is for you guys. Is everybody okay? Just thumbs
That'll
up?
work.
All right. Okie
We can see your stupid blog, all right?
Nice stupid blog. Yes, that's the idea. So I'm going to put the link also into the to the chat, just so everybody has a. Why are you being difficult? Here we go. The way this works is this is, I think, a better way to deploy and publicize sort of one of the projects I'm working on, which is just a tool, an SDK, a bunch of crap to visualize and analyze, COVID-19 stats for, specific regions, geographical regions in the United States. And in this website here, it's updated daily. So I've got another Git repo that has the code for the update daily part and deployment. It just updates these 26 regions. Ends up being around 508 files that it creates and then uploads to DigitalOcean Spaces every 24 hours. And that's one of the benefits of having a supercomputing resource there. It's not from my Comcast account, so. So I figured, since we're in the U.S., a lot of you are in Sacramento, and since Sacramento is in California, I figure I'll show rather than tell 3 places. So this is sort of a follow-up on what I described last month, where I had the functionality and I showed some examples for the cumulative COVID-19, cases, basically cases and deaths so far, from the first incident in specific regions. So I'll start with that. So are you guys seeing this giant, quad movie here? So it's just, one of the things I'm creating. And this is something that gets created and uploaded every day, or at least every day.
Can we do this with Python meetups?
Yeah, exactly. So all this is done. The New York Times has a GitHub repo where they have basically a record of COVID-19 cases for every county in the US by date, like from the first incident to the last incident. And so I just take that data and convolve it, use geographical data that I get from Census.gov, the US Census Bureau, to define the geographical regions. And that's what it does here. So this is just one example for the whole continental US. The cases on the lower right, the deaths on the upper right, and the logarithmic plot of a trend line. Blue is cases and orange is, cumulative deaths. And yeah, it's not good news. Just in the continental US, so I'm leaving out, Hawaii, Alaska, and Puerto Rico. 550K. So we'll probably hit 550K or 546K. We'll probably hit 550K, probably around 2 or 3 days from now, at least in the continental US. And here's the new thing, the new wrinkle that I don't think either Woody or anybody else in SacPy is seeing yet, is the same thing, but now doing the 7-day rolling average of, new cases per day, new deaths per day. And you can see, this is the quad plot on the lower left. You see sort of, lower alpha is actually a more jagged number of cases and deaths per day. Those are the one-day average ones. And you can see the jaggedness arises from the fact that the reporting is, has about a week-long cycle. And so there's lags and leaps in terms of how cases and deaths are reported each day. So that's why people typically look at the 7 or 14-day rolling averages of those things. But the thing to notice is, as you can see here, other than the first hump, right, the first peak, I guess the first peak is dominated by New York City. The second peak was the rest of the U.S. And then the third peak was, again, the rest of the U.S., but like around wintertime. It's dominated by the southwestern U.S., or specifically, I guess, Arizona and SoCal, and a little bit of the Bay Area. So we're doing a little better, but it is creeping up a little bit. I guess we need more people to get vaccines. But yeah, this stuff is all, basically, if you go to the website, it'll have, all those movie files there. And now, here's just the trend lines. Basically, the final days, quad trend lines of quad plots of cases and cumulative cases and deaths. And similarly, let me go back. And same for here is, the cases rolling, 7-day rolling average cases per day and deaths per day. And I've done all this stuff in Python. There's really no other external solution other than deploying the data. And I think even the deployment tool, I think, is also written in Python. So maybe there's a lot more Python in there than I think it is automatically in there. And so if you notice the style of this plot, it's created with a Python graphics plotting library called matplotlib. And so that's what I used to create the separate frames of the movie files that you saw, as well as as well as this individual PNG file here. What else? Let me just show California. Since a lot of us live in California, I guess I can sort of make it faster. There's the the second hump, which is what we're seeing here. LA, San Diego are pretty bad. I guess that's why they got the first batch of vaccines into California. And the problem with logarithmic plots is it's hard to see a sort of, actual absolute trends in there. And here's for California. I guess, compared to what it was. Oh, sorry, this is just Texas. Oh, sorry about that. I guess if some of you are from Texas, you can look at that. But yeah, the peak was really bad. Like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it says the most counties cases per day. I think, almost 50K cases per day. That's what we hit, around here. But yeah, this is sort of a way to visualize sort of hotspots as they flare up and, die down. But unfortunately, we're in a situation where it seems like the hotspots aren't really dying down. It looks like LA County in particular and SoCal in general. Ooh, yeah, not so good. But if you guys are interested, like, I guess, Jonathan, right? This is all, it was a bunch of PNG, files as frames. And I use FFmpeg to concatenate and join those into an MP4 file. Interesting side note, I tried both HEVC, codecs, video codecs, as well as H.264. The HEVC is smaller, but almost no browser could read in those MP4 files. So I decided to keep it as, I guess, H.264 because the browser, I think itself, has the codecs to read and visualize those movie files. So 26 regions, same thing, just there. I guess I could show California. Yep, here's the California one, same as the CONUS, or at least in principle. But yeah, 3.67 million cases and almost 60K deaths as of yesterday, at least according to the New York Times database. And similarly, well, we are getting, I guess, okay, relatively speaking, because we did hit a max of like 44, almost 45K new cases per day, and 560 new deaths of COVID-19 per day. And since a lot of you are from Sacramento, let's show that too. Well, it's a lot smaller, so I'll go all the way to the end. But as you can see, of course, the colors get worse as there are, more and more cases. And but it looks like, kind of the trends in Sacramento seem to follow the rest of the state of California. And of course, the worst hit county in the Sacramento metro area is Sacramento County, as you can see here, both in the cases part and in the deaths part. Another bit of info, I know this is a bit of a core dump for you guys. I did talk about this a little bit in the previous, last month's SacPy meeting, is one of the features I found useful for organizing the data is because I have MP4 files here, it's fairly easy to put in metadata that properly identifies the file. And by that, I mean, if you guys see my, let's see here. Let's go here. Let's say look at the continental US. It creates a lot of data, but let's say this is MP4 info is one of the executables you can use to query the metadata in an MP4 file. It sort of has identifying information that says exactly what data is in the movie. Like it's a continental US. I'm representing both cumulative cases and deaths. And it is the latest data, the data as of, March 31st, 2021. This is sort of a little bit of a hint that it was encoded with FFmpeg. This is basically saying, in some sense, the version of FFmpeg that it's encoded with. It's the continental US. And let me just look at another one here. This is saying, this is both COVID-19 cases and deaths, but instead of being cumulative, it's a 7-day rolling average, but similarly, the latest bit of data that I have. And with that, I can stop if anybody has any questions or anybody wants to go into a deeper dive into what I've discussed right now. And this stuff is, if you looked at the link, it's on GitLab, so don't worry about bandwidth or availability issues. It's just go nuts on it. Update it every day. It'll be up there as long as GitLab is available. What about you, Woody? I know some of this stuff is new for you, right?
Yeah. This whole time I've been wondering, where do you get? Sorry, this is kind of a lame question, but where do you get the map? Like all the county maps? Like, is there some?
Oh, that's a very good question, actually.
Are those vector images, or how is that done?
Oh, actually, let me just open up the GitHub. Basically this Jupyter notebook, which is where the low-level data lives. And in this case, it comes from the U.S. Census. So at this point, let me just show exactly where it's located. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but okay, I'm going to do a sort of a deep dive into some of the stuff. Because
Would
I
you
don't
mind
know.
zooming that in? Also,
Yeah,
I worried
yeah.
that
There's
I
going to
asked a
be,
question and did not
yeah.
unmute myself.
So there's actually, are any of you guys sort of GIS or geographical and information system nerds, or people who know about any of this stuff?
I've heard of it. They use it for like environmental studies and stuff.
Exactly, exactly. So what I mean by that is there's a resources directory, comes from the census, census.gov at a fundamental level. And there's both like pre-compiled data or just raw data, which is basically these things called shape files that the census.gov has for every county in the US. So yeah, it's a kind of goofy thing. I don't know why, but instead of zip codes to identify them, they use something called a FIPS code, a FIPS county code. It's just, roughly speaking, I think, a FIPS is equivalent to a zip code. It's just a different numbering system. But that's how they sort of have that's in something like this that I've highlighted here. I don't know if I can open it up. Yeah, it says it's a binary file, but it's just a bunch of basically for each county identified by FIPS code, it's basically a set of lat longs defining each separate geographic region in the county. It doesn't necessarily follow that a given county is only one geographic region. Like if a county has one big island and a bunch of little islands, then of course, like 4 little islands, then instead of there being one geographical region, there are 5, and so on and so forth. And so that's where that's where actually the geographical information lives. The geographical data lives in something like this. I think it's a big ass file. Yes, this is where all the basically this post-compiled, serialized, relatively quick to access Python version of that geographical data lives. So this is the, instead of processing all this data each time I run any of the executables, it just loads this data in. So it's maybe a little bit faster. And let me give you an example of what exactly one of this looks like. So, yeah. And I'm going to deep dive a little bit. So let's do, so I think it's called boundaries. You see here, this is sort of the FIPS code and this array. And actually,
could you zoom that one in?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna zoom. You see this array here? It's actually only one element, but this is like one of the counties in the Sacramento metropolitan statistical area. It's just an array of lats and longs in degrees. And let me see what its shape is. So in this case, it consists of 885 points. Let me see if it's, here's the first point, and here's the last point. I guess it loops around, so the first point is equal to the last point. So to explicitly make it a closed polygon. And that's the nature of the geographical data. That's what's used to actually do the visualization, both as a single image or as a movie file.
And is GIS, is that a file type or is
No,
GIS
it's called
just
geographical. It's like a field of study called, or a field of work called geographical and informational systems.
Right.
Like the idea.
So are there tons of different file formats?
Oh my God! Do you guys want to you want your head to cave in a little bit, I can go into a little more detail.
That's what I signed up for.
All right, okay.
Just over to him.
So you do bring up an interesting point, because I'm using a Python library called CartaPy, which, oops, sorry, the wrong one. Here we go. Here we go. CartaPy, which is the Python module. Is really powerful to both to visualize the this geographical data. Basically, okay, here's a set of lat longs defining a polygon, defining a region. And then, well, an important point is what projection do I want to use? And I'll give you an example of projection. Let's see if there's yeah, here we go. And I figure this is sort of head cavey in sort of stuff. Like, here's one projection, here's another one, azimuthal equidistant. I don't know. I mean, I guess.
So could you zoom that one in too? Sorry, I'm
Okay,
becoming
yeah,
one
sure.
note here.
There's just lots and lots of them. You see this CartaPy projection list? I'm not joking. This is probably not even a complete list of everything that's used in practice, like by lots of people. There's plate carré. I'm not sure what it is, but it looks like a Mercator. Albers equal area. One projection. What is this? Azimuthal equidistance. I guess, if you're shooting missiles from one place to another, I guess some of these projections are useful to, visualize exactly where the missiles are coming and going from. Equidistant conic. Yeah, and Antarctica seems to cover, the lower area pretty completely. Lambert
You mentioned one
conformal.
earlier, the Mercator projection. That's the reason. That's the reason why on flat maps it appears as though Africa
Greenland
is not that big.
Greenland and Antarctica are enormous. Yes.
Yeah.
And South America and Africa are like basically tiny islands.
Very cool. All right. So the answer was, this was the first.
There are
thing
lots and
people ever
lots,
tried to
and
keep
I
track
just
of.
picked, the projection that would be flat and not too distorted, for the geographical regions I care about. Because, the continental US takes up a significant chunk of the Earth's surface, but it's not like the whole Earth. So I don't have to worry too much about curvature effects. So I can use basically the same, I think I use the same projections, just change the bounding boxes a little bit to account for curvature just for the continental US. But everything else is basically the limit of the, area becoming sort of small size, small area, where it becomes flat. I'm just basically using that. Orthographic, Robinson, sinusoidal. I guess if you guys are, shooting stuff into space, maybe, or if you've seen any like old Bond movies, you've probably seen some of these weird ass projections in there. Transverse Mercator.
What does sinusoidal help with?
I don't know. I guess, if you've got a bunch of satellites in the equator, I guess maybe it's useful for that. I haven't seen a lot of the old Bond movies in a while, so maybe it'll become clear if I see it again.
Flat Earth was a thing. Can we start pointy Earth?
We could. Yeah, I mean, as long as it's some consistent, topology, I guess we could do whatever we want. I mean, you could even have something like crumpled bit of paper, crumpled ball of paper projection. I'm sure that's
crumpled
fine
Earth.
too.
Well, you did say you were going to cave our minds in. Yeah. No.
Remember this show called Alf? Have any of you seen a show called Alf? Both the cartoon.
The alien life form, Alf, that thing.
Alf, yes. Yeah, that character, that alien who likes to eat cats. He comes from a place called Melmac, where I guess his home planet isn't a nice sphere. It's got this weird ass shape. Yeah, so maybe Well, I guess it's all on YouTube. It's really weird, and the cartoon isn't really that good. So, yeah.
Pointy
Okay, so
Pointy Earth.
pointy Earth or cubic Earth. I've seen some of those too.
Yeah,
Transverse
but a cubic
Mercator.
is basically flat Earth.
Ugh, this is just giving me a headache. I guess subdivided into time zones. Universal transverse Mercator projection. I've seen a bit of this too, like I guess cutting it up into like this pair so that maybe you get minimal distortion in all of the regions, geographical areas, but still allow the center to be 0 latitude and 0 longitude. Rotated pole, I guess depends on where you want to focus. OSGB, I think GB stands for Great Britain. You see a bit of Northern Ireland over here. Euro PP, I have no idea what any of this stuff is. You're seeing it with me for the first time if you've never seen it before. Geostationary, I guess it was fine. Near side perspective, I guess you're some guy, on an asteroid, looking down on Great Britain or Spain or something. I don't know, somewhere in orbit or whatever. Here's more of the weird shapes, some hexagon. Eckert 2. Oh my God, there are people who do PhDs in this sort of stuff. So,
All right. Anyone else
This
have
is one I
any
think I've
questions
seen.
for Tanim?
So did
Yeah.
you projected the coordinates like onto a particular map type
Yeah,
and
yeah. In
then,
fact, it's
then cropped it to a
let me
viewpoint
see
or
if I-
something?
let me see if I can get that there. Oh yeah, sorry, it's harder to share here. So I'm going to go to GitHub and show the source that way. Tanim Islam, COVID-19 stats, blah 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 blah. COVID-19 stats and engine viz. So let's just say one of the workhorses. It's this method here. So the important part of the code is, this is sort of the projection I use. And it's a projection that's centered about, where was it? Actually, let me just put it here. God, I think I'm way too drunk at this point. Let's see.
Lawrence Livermore's finest.
Clay Curry. Why is this so hard for me? Okay. Let's face it, deaths by county. There it is. There's got to be something that says. I'm sorry, this is kind of busy for all you guys. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Okay, this thing called a plate Curie projection. I don't know what it's called. But the nice thing about it is it's fairly flat. It doesn't have any distortions for localized geographical regions. It just sort of works out of the box for my use case, and so that's what I use for all the the projection data. That's sort of the thing that makes the small regions look relatively flat on the Earth's surface. And even for something like the continental US, which takes up, a significant span in latitude and longitude, all I've got to do is just change the extents in latitude and longitude. And, it seems to cover everything fine. There's a lot of interesting logic in there because if you want to go into a deeper dive into matplotlib, there's also a way to color, anything according to some, basically numbered color map. That is taking a number value and converting into a color according to some color map rules. Like, for something called jet, it's sort of like it's blue all the way, dark blue all the way to red, blue for lowest, red for highest. It's just a way of saying, okay, this value, with these limits 1.0 to maximum color bar, convert that number into an associated color to put onto your matplotlib figure, matplotlib axes. Yeah, it's not just limited to, if you do some kind of plot or p-color mesh or anything of that nature, contour plot. Those are sort of higher level, methods that really hook into something like this. It's just a nice way of saying, okay, instead of being shoehorned into something that's not really relevant, it's just a way of saying, this is a value, color it according to these rules, which is the same as what you'd get for a p-color mesh or a contour F or something like that. And interesting point, matplotlib is powerful but really crappy. One of the crappinesses of matplotlib is you create some kind of axes object, the thing that's where you spew all your plot stuff. It's not something you can pass to another, thread, to another process. You actually have to do something like create an individual. You have to duplicate your matplotlib axes object for each basically task that you want to parallelize over. But the nice thing is you just do the initialization, basically, do the geographic overlay, define your, polygons, blah, 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 once. And then for each subsequent day, right? This is basically the logic encapsulated here. All you do is change the color or, change the text in any of, change the text in any of the titles, and it'll just update automatically. And that's a relatively fast operation. So that was probably more information than others wanted, but that's basically, yes, it, at least for the demo. Okay, here's the crap here. Other things, maybe some of you can help me with this. The way that, I'm doing this stuff on Python, but a lot of the stuff is needlessly, I guess, I feel, needlessly heavy. By that I mean, when I just spin up something that I want to do to create a movie or to create a single, summary data for a single geographical region, it has to do a lot of initialization, which takes, however long it takes. Let me see if it goes through this. I guess it's, let me just make it explicit here. Kernel, let me just restart it. By that, I mean, every process to basically run an executable that I have to create movies or images, it takes some time. There's this initialization. There's, of course, that initialization. But right now, I have this data in something that's very reminiscent of a database called a pandas data frame. And you can see even there's a lot of initialization crap that's happening.
All right. Well, any other questions for Tanim? Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks again. This is pretty cool. I'm wondering, unless someone else has a question, I'm wondering, can you turn this into like a poll type thing we could run each week, or sorry, each month, each event, let's say, and then people could weigh in on the map where they're at? Because county-wide data, that's not too granular. It's not like doxing yourself.
Yeah.
But it'd be kind of cool to see where on the map we're landing, because I think we're slightly beyond Sacramento at this point.
What do you mean by beyond Sacramento? Oh, like where everybody is? Yes, that's actually an interesting point. It's functionality I haven't put in there, but it's easy to do, relatively straightforward to do. Like say you're in the US, you give your, county, like basically county and state name, like Chesterfield County, Virginia, or Norfolk, Virginia, right? You just give that info, and it could like create all that spew for you, like, you know, a movie of the cumulative and 7-day averages, like a status of the latest. Yeah, I could do all that stuff. What I have is something that just works out of the box for predefined regions. These are metropolitan statistical areas, states, including US territories like Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., and the continental US. But it's fairly straightforward to also give it either individual counties or collections of counties, either as a JSON file or maybe just something in the command line, and then have it generate the data for you, like the latest data for you. Yeah, that's definitely something I can do. Woody, are you willing to test it out if you want?
Always. I'm always down to break things. I can break things really quickly. Don't worry.
Today I actually wrote Git on, you know, one of the powerful machines at the lab. It just basically, it's a situation where it took about an hour to do a Git pull on one of my repos. So yeah. I think in an
All right.
hour.
Well, all right. Do we have any other questions for Tanim? Anyone? Cool. Well, Tanim, again, thanks for the updates on this. I won't bug you again to present unless you really want to. As always, our contributions are from the community. So Tanim's been generous enough to give up, you know, an hour of his time the last few months to show us how this thing's coming along. And I think it's pretty relevant. And it turns out COVID is a topic that affects us all. So
a lot of us, yeah. Any of you gotten get vaccinated yet?
I have. I got my first round.
Fantastic.
Which one did you get?
I think I got it's Moderna.
The Moderna. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have Kaiser, so I think that's the only option I have.
Yeah, I'm getting my Pfizer on Saturday. We'll see how it goes.
I want to get Pfizer because I went to school in San Diego, UC San Diego. Like almost everyone goes to Pfizer from the biochem. All right, so I'm up next. Back again. This will be a brief one. I know with SacPy we get a good amount of beginners, so thanks for showing up. Let's go back to that. This is from the beginning of my Python career, essentially December of 2019. In my career, I spent a good amount of time in Silicon Valley. I worked adjacent to software development. I did a lot with a lot of different web products, but I always felt like I was kind of on the sideline. And unfortunately, I had an opportunity to go back to school due to my father passing away back in 2018. But I found myself back in hometown and near the junior college I went to before transferring down to San Diego. And they had a number of classes there. I did one in mobile application development, and then I did this one in Python. It was kind of fun because like I felt like I wanted to do computer science stuff, but I had already done a good amount of it with my degree. There was some amount of it, but it wasn't really in depth. And so it was nice to just be able to do a handful of classes and be supplementing and like reasonably well-rounded education. So Python was the second one. And at the time I went back to school, I was also not really finding too many startup type environment positions available in the like Granite Bay, Roseville, Sacramento area. So I went and worked at my friend's restaurant. So I got to use this point of sale system called Toast. I'm sure you've all seen it in restaurants, especially now during the pandemic. It's like really instrumental for relatively touchless ordering. But basically it's an Android system for order management and kitchen management. And so we went from an old paper system to to that. So without further ado, we got the YouTube videos working last time, right, Tanim? So I think I should probably be able to do it again this time.
You did.
There we go. Oh, I need to remember to hit share sound. I didn't do it. I failed. Bottom left corner, share sound. Word to the wise.
Terry, I like your picture.
Wait, which one's Terry's? Is it the satellite? Okay,
Oh,
where
it's
are
a
we
glass
here?
of red wine. Come on now.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have the names up. I was just winging it, sorry. Okay, let's get this going. Yeah, Tanim agrees. He was working on some red wine. He was going for straight bottle because
Yeah, it's so jumbo.
Jumbo was getting into the glass. Yeah. All right, so if you're in Sacramento, you might know this place, Jack's Urban Eats. I was working at one of the locations, well, two of them in the Roseville area. But I was in this Python class, and I pitched a project to do some stuff with their backend. They got a number of locations all over the center Northern California. This is what the one in Roseville looks like. I don't know if you can see it in that system. This was the first place to have it installed. The other places, they worked off paper pads, and so switching to a system like this is, pretty reasonable. And that's called software as a service. They've had systems like these for a long time. National Cash Register made one, but they didn't have access to cloud backend. The really old ones are pretty expensive. You've seen these at McDonald's and whatnot. It's called a kitchen display system. It just helps you manage orders, but also helps you give processing time. That's about what the layout looks like. The backend for Toast is pretty sweet. Backend for most point of sale systems is pretty similar to this, but it was nice just that was in a website. The restaurant, like I said, was on paper, and so for their digital life, they were mostly living in Excel. So I don't think they've switched over from that. But basically, they had these giant spreadsheets, which are, as many of you know, pretty easy to work with if you're working with Python. Basically, every day at Jack's, you close out the register and you're done. You stop, taking orders. And there's all this info in the back end, and anyway, I'm probably gonna mute myself on this, but basically, once a day there's 20 minutes of work that's really boring and awful, but totally automatable, and spread across 12 different places. Comes out to pretty notable savings. So basically, if anyone knows anything about Toast, it actually comes with an API, but you have to pay for it. It's $3,000 and then some monthly amount. But if you just do a web scraper with a thing called Selenium, there's a number of other scraper checks, but for Python, Selenium's the way to go. Sorry, this is so small. I should have zoomed this in when I was making the video. Basically, you can log into the back end, get the same information that they're making these kids literally transcribe by hand, and do it way more accurately, way faster, and save 20 minutes, which is pretty notable if you consider that people that are otherwise hand copying this stuff into those Excel spreadsheets that we showed earlier, they're mistake prone and all that. So here's it running. This little script I made. It's Selenium. I think I made it headless, but just for the sake of demonstration, I did it headed, as it were, so you can actually see it work. And it was a demonstration of a handful of things. Some of it was Selenium, some was Pi Auto GUI. You'll see at some point here, I moved the cursor. Yeah, maybe it was another one. But anyway, point being, it takes a few seconds to do something that would take these guys like 20 minutes. I think, unfortunately, they didn't really go for it because they had something about you want to make sure it's done right. I don't know. They didn't trust computers. Luddites. Oh well. But basically, it was a demonstration of a concept that is the namesake of a book we were using for class called Automate the Boring Stuff. And so each one of these events, I know we end up with a handful of people who've either never done Python before and are just looking to get a start, or like, you know, they've been looking at it for a while and are just having a hard time getting started. Is there anyone here that's currently like total beginner, has yet to start? Cool, Camille. All right. Well, we got at least one. So, did that generally make sense, Camille, what I was talking about? It's a restaurant.
There were bits and pieces that definitely made sense. There were some other things where it's like, yeah, I'm sure I'll learn that soon.
Yeah. Oh, how to do it is, you know, it's a snowball. You start with just a few little skills, and then you consider each skill you add to your tool belt is just one more thing you can throw at the next project. And then you just randomly pick up things as you go along, thinking, oh man, someone's probably figured that out. Let me Google it. But anyway, I was alluding to the name of a website, and that is Automate the Boring Stuff. That was the book we were using for that class. I will put it in the meeting there. It's a free book. I think you can pay for a bound copy. But basically, I was learning directly off that. That's how they were teaching the class for the community college, and it was exactly that. You know, these guys have to report on how much they sold that day, put it in an Excel spreadsheet, turn it in every month because, you know, taxes, stuff like that. But if you can script it, you can do it a lot more accurately and a lot more. I don't know, you can trust the process a little bit better because people are lossy, especially if you consider the restaurant industry. So I'd recommend Automate the Boring Stuff for getting started. All right, so I kind of zoomed through that. That was me sharing a video that I made a number of years back. Hopefully next month I'll have something a little more substantive to share. But for that particular video, anyone have any questions that I can answer for them?
How reliable is that Selenium task, that process? Is it like you fire and forget and it just works, or is there some nastiness from any of the websites where you get the data from?
Well, the way I was shaping that up, it was not super reliable. It was kind of a workaround to get the people to move on paying for the API access, because the API access is going to be a lot more accurate than, say, a dynamically generated website. When you load a website like that has all that sales data, they don't often load the data that is below the fold, which is to say, if you have to scroll to get to it. And so when they're doing that, let me see if I can pull up the code on that. Oh man, I need something to drink. I'm parched. Basically the locations of the data are they're dynamically generated, so it's not super accurate. But it was accurate enough if you do silly things like zoom all the way out and fit everything into a single page.
Okay.
Let me pull up the code so we can take a look at that. But
I ran into an issue once with it where if they use any media queries for nav bars, it can make it a nightmare. It seems very reliable, but if they change literally anything, like a button to just an Avia button. You're searching for a very specific element. I actually ran into that with one of my production ones this week. It was failing, but I didn't realize it because they just changed the website. So as long as your vendor's like a government site, you have nothing to worry about. You know, they'll never get it.
I wish James Tejada were here because I could bitch at him about NPR. They regressed. They had a nice API. They're getting all their programs, NPR programs and PRI programs, which they killed. And so now I've got to use Selenium, via web scraping to get the data that I used to be able to get through an API they provided. And that's iffy at best. But yeah, Selenium is a sort of, in my experience, you use it when you don't have a better choice. But it's
no, exactly. It's very brittle. As you pointed out, yeah, they change one thing, it falls over.
Yeah.
For basic stuff, though, it works really well. We had a scheduling system at my work, and they said, "Oh, if you want API access, it's $5,000 a year." I needed it for one report, and they had a really cool API selection where I could automate all this stuff. But we literally use it for scheduling for like 4 people, so it's not a primary system. So I told them to pound sand, and I built a web scraper or screen scraper, whatever you want to call Selenium, that exports a report that does the same thing the API would do. So for certain circumstances, it works really well, but I wouldn't say use it to automate data flows or anything your business is going to make big decisions on.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah,
no, this was more like, this was more like we had him set up with, or I was building a Slack bot for them so that they would actuate it via the Slack channel, and then generate their report right there. Save them 20 minutes. That's about it. Okay, so I think I found what I was looking for. The data. These are X paths, I believe. So I was having fun with really nested paths. It would still fall over if certain categories had more action than the day. Like if you had certain coupons used or discounts used, some days you wouldn't have a certain type. Other days you'll have every single type, and it would make it just a few lines longer, and that would be enough for things to kind of fall over. And I don't know, that's that sort of brittleness I was talking about.
Wow. Is this Bootstrap? Is this website like Bootstrap under the hood, or?
It might be.
All right.
$50 billion company. Yeah, right.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. The things we do for love or money.
Woody, were those all lists that you were filtering to?
What was that?
Your divs.
Those were XPaths.
Yeah. What was with the list number looking thing? The div bracket number bracket.
Oh, and you're in? Woody, do you have anything?
Yeah, let me. I'm pulling that back up for you.
Sorry, that just threw me. I haven't seen that before.
Oh, this is not good coding. Keep in mind, this is like a homework project. This is the final project for my Python class.
Gotcha.
But I just pulled it up because I don't know. It was kind of fun because it was kind of a real world application. All right. Any other questions on that? I was going to do some 101 stuff after this, and then we can do our stand-up. Oh, man, I'm sorry. We should have done the stand-up at the beginning. Any other questions?
I guess how successful? I mean, you run this thing. Is it successful like 60% of the time, 70% of the time? And if it fails, do you have like a branch of, okay, do you branch off and do other things to account for the failures? or do you just keep
Oh.
running until it succeeds?
Oh, I think this would have gotten reasonably robust once I showed them that buying the API would have been the move, but they just trusted software in general.
So they're
okay.
still just running
You know,
it
and-
like.
And in terms of the payoff, you said 20 minutes a day. That's 20 minutes a day for each of the 12 locations, right?
Or maybe one person? I
I
don't
mean,
know.
well, I highly doubt I mean, if they're taking it off paper today, they have to be doing that work at each location. So, 20
yeah.
minutes, 12 locations. That's 4 hours a day. I mean, a month's time, 1,200 hours. Or not 1,200 times 20, whatever. They could pay for that 1,000 in a couple of months.
Oh, absolutely.
Just in labor.
And there's
just in labor, not only opportunity cost of what those employees could have been doing, during that period of time.
the opportunity cost has a lot of follow-on effects, because you have to figure the person that's closing the place is also the person, or, the person that's closing the books is also the person that can close the actual kitchen faster than the rest of the workers down the line. So it's not just one person's billable wages, it's also the top skilled person backing up all the noobs.
Correct.
And getting them out of there, because
Correct.
that's another 2 hours of wages. The minimum wage in the area, or like what they're paying, they were paying way above minimum wage. It's notable cash. And if you're talking about scaling an organization, there's no small savings. And if it comes down to a handful of scripts that could get a little bit better, if given a little TLC, yeah, so be it. But there's some holdouts. We'll get them in time. I'll come back around to that one. Salesforce got a little bit more interesting. Okay, I have all the Zoom is messing with me right now. There we go. All right, so I wanted to show an Easter egg because Easter is coming up. Not that I'm a very secular guy, but since we got some noobs here, I'll start a new share. And this is kind of like a poem too, I guess. I'm sure many of you know of this one. Wait, load? There we go. It's not loading the other one, is it? You guys see my terminal here?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let me see if I can actually zoom this thing in. There we go. Oh no, I've made it too big. What have I done? Oh,
there we go.
Right. All right, so does anyone know the import this thing? There's a package that's default with Python. It's a poem, The Zen of Python by Tim Peters. I think it's just good advice for life, but I'll read it. Beautiful is better than ugly. Explicit is better than implicit. Simple is better than complex. Complex is better than complicated. Flat is better than nested. Sparse is better than dense. Readability counts. Special cases aren't special enough to break the rules, although practicality beats purity. Errors should never pass silently unless explicitly silenced. In the face of ambiguity, refuse the temptation to guess. There should be one, and preferably one, obvious way to do it. Although that may not be obvious at first unless you're Dutch. Now is better than never, although never is often better than right now. If the implementation is hard to explain, it's a bad idea. If the implementation is easy to explain, it may be a good idea. Namespaces are one honking great idea. Let's do more of those. I think I like the last one best. More namespaces. Robert's not here with us today, or anymore, but he didn't die. He just left. He's hoping to come back with another namespace for SacPy. I think it was Python plus Node, so more on that later. Cool. All right, so stand-up meeting. Does anyone not know what a stand-up meeting is? Speak up or forever hold your peace. All right, stand-up meeting. I'm sure you all know If you're working on a team, there's a meeting at the beginning of the day where you literally don't sit down. I'm not going to make people stand up. If I stand up, it's kind of awkward. You see my comfy pants. Can't have that. But the idea is that it's quick. If you're sitting down, you can linger. But if you're standing, everyone eventually gets antsy. So we'll make it quick. Introduce yourself. Tell us what you're working on. Tell us either a recent win or something you're stuck on. And if there's something you're stuck on, let's take a moment and everyone can chime in on what to do, because we got another 40 minutes. The fun part is the mingling. So anyway, I'll get started. Tanim, you next. Tanim, pick the person after you. All right, my name's Woody. I'm working on a Slack bot right now. I am stuck with the Google Suite tooling. Does anybody know anything about the Google Drive API? I'm trying to make a bot that lives in Slack that works with an organization, and all it does is it makes sure when someone shares a file, whether it's a Google Doc, if not, convert it, and if it is a Google Doc, make sure it's within the work organization. Any ideas?
You probably know more just as much as I do on Google Drive API crap, because I'm just like, here's the Google API, Excel spreadsheet or what have you, and here's the data in it. That's my knowledge of the Google Drive API.
Yeah, well, hopefully next month I'll be presenting on that. All right, Tanim, what's your project update? Let's keep this stand-up going.
I guess I kind of started on that. It's I've got this basically a thing that looks like a database. It's called a pandas data frame of a record. It's like about almost 1.2 million records of COVID-19 cases of deaths. That's one part of it. Maybe there's a smarter, faster way of getting at the data. Let me give you an example. Let me share. More head caving in stuff, sorry. But basically, let me do the share again. So meeting, let me start the share and let me share. Yeah, let me just do this. So I'm gonna make it bigger, bigger, bigger. So I've got like the geographical data all prepared and crap like that. Right now, it's sort of a database problem. I've got
all right, this is a stand-up meeting. We gotta keep it. We got people standing.
Sorry. I gotta make it faster. Instead of being, taking 280 seconds on a single machine, maybe I can make it 2 seconds to get it.
All right, cool. We're gonna circle back to that one in the Discord chat. Jagjeet, what do you got next?
Right now I'm kind of in interview mode, so trying to not really focus on Python stuff too much, but I was trying to get up to speed actually with like Ruby on Rails today, and interviewing with company.
Someone on YouTube hire Jagjeet. His blocker is he needs a job.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, post about it in the Discord or the Slack. It's always interesting things. Harsh, what do you got?
Hi there. I am an occasional visitor, I have to say. I am not regularly visiting, regularly on the meetings, but whenever I see, it's there on my calendar and I should attend SacPy, group, because I'm passionate about Python. Done programming in many languages earlier, and then lately got stuck with Python and just love it, Mostly I'm a team builder, so I'd have team members working with me. But right now I'm looking at a challenge where I'm stuck, and I thought I'll throw it out to the group. Has any one of you used the ASN.1 syntax?
How do you spell it? Async.1?
No, ASN.1. The ASN.1 abstract.
Is that a flavor of? Is that a flavor of like EDI sort of thing?
No, I'll put it in the chat box. Let me put it in the chat box.
Wow. some telecommunications thing. Oh, it's like serialization.
ASN.1.
Yeah, I
So
see
the
it.
ASN.1 is syntax notation, basically for defining data structures, that can be serialized, deserialized, and for cross-platform. And then there are a number of, encoding rules for that. So packed encoding, there's one rule, it's called as a basic encoding rules. And someone, maybe 6 or 7 or 8 years back, I had done some work in extracting ASN.1 with a BER, basic encoding rule, and being able to pull out the data format and extract and make an application from it. And someone sent me, hey, Harsh, you remember you had done that earlier, and they sent me a package, which has data. I'm just struggling with that. I am not able to pull that out. So if someone is interested in that ASN.1 notation, and there are some tools available for converting, but maybe it requires some programming. I'm trying to see. And I know at that time we had done it in C++, not in Python, but I was just trying to see if I can pull that data and play with it in Python. If someone feels that, yeah, they can help me out, then, I'd like to maybe share a data package that's there, and see if we can pull it out and then extract that and then, write a small JSON. It's basically we want to convert to a JSON format. So that's one thing.
Now, I looked at on Google. There's an ASN1 Python module. Have you just explored that even just a little bit?
ASN.
Yeah, let me give them the link. Yeah, that's this one. I put it in a chat.
I think I just pulled that out. Yeah, that looks good. I'll try that out definitely. And this morning actually I got introduced to something else which might be similar. I'm just doing this research, and while I see that ASN.1 is basically used for defining data structures that can be serialized and deserialized, Google had some years back come out with what they call it the protocol buffer.
Yeah, protobuf. Yeah.
The prot buff has that completely made ASN.1 obsolete, or is ASN.1 still used, or how is the Google prot buff? It's being used only where Google is doing the governance. So I don't know if anyone knows something about that.
That use protobuf at a low level, but I haven't used it directly. So my knowledge of it is, non-existent. It's just there's some protobuf underneath, but yeah. I
let's
don't
keep this
know.
stand up going. ASN1, thanks.
I won't take more time, but if you feel that you're up to the challenge to help me out on this, then please.
How big is the data? Is it like
put my email over here, and I'd love to get some help from you. Tanim, I think so. You have been into a lot of challenges to help out. So
I mean, I could spend maybe 15 minutes just seeing, okay, here's a thing to ASN1 eyes. Either turn it into an ASN1 or deserialize it. But I'm a combination of impatient and lazy, so I don't know how tough I could be.
All right, well, more on that later.
Okay, I'll let
Johnny
you guys
Cross.
take over then. Thanks so much, Tanim. Thanks, Woody.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. Of course. Hey, we'll have more time at the end, but this is just the mock stand-up meeting. All right, Johnny, what do you got? Project update or blocker?
Let's see. I guess project update. I did I call it drill language learning, where I convert a Quizlet set into an MP3 file so you can listen to your flashcards pretty much like on the go. That was a little bit ago. I'm back in school, so I haven't had time to work on it or anything. But I did that, and I also finished a program that tweets my girlfriend a picture of a corgi every morning. So that, and I finished my portfolio website too. And I think that's about it for me.
All right, Dan, what do you got?
Hi everybody, I'm Dan. I'm just a hobbyist, so I think for those that are learning Python, the best thing to do is figure out a project that you really want to do in Python and just figure out how to do it. That's how I learned how to do it. And I really haven't been doing much Python lately. Hate to say it, but I've been working on some C. I'm working on software-defined radio to make a radio as small as possible and light as possible. So just taking some open source code and adopting it to what I want to do with it. That's about it.
Awesome, thanks. It looks like Tessa maybe has disappeared or just is blending into her seat. So we'll assume pass for Tessa. Cliff, what do you got?
Well, first, I echo Dan. Yeah, just find something that you want to play with. It gives you the old itch thing, right? Because that's going to keep you going when you get to the point of either running into some problems or probably not. You probably won't get bored, but definitely if you're running problems. Right now, so my company, we mainly we spun up a web storefront a couple of years ago on Shopify. And we are using a third-party logistics firm to actually store the inventory and do the fulfillment. And Shopify has a connection with that and sends it over. I wasn't involved in that project, but then last fall, we had a hurry up, from the time we first heard about it to the time we were doing the first order was about 3 weeks. They decided they want to also sell on Wayfair. So I threw some stuff together really quick, very manual. Used Python to do some transformations of some files that I was pulling down manually and such. And now I am putting those, hooking them into the APIs for both the third-party logistics firm and also Wayfair. And that's just about done. But then I want the black box so this thing can run unattended on its own, do error logging, do notifications to people if there's a problem, that sort of thing. So it's definitely an ongoing project, but it's kind of cool because that's not really what I was hired for. I'm taking care of this big monster Epicor ERP system, and there's not a lot of development opportunities for that. So this is great to be able to do some development as well. So sometime, maybe one of these meetings, I can show it off.
Hey, yeah, you wanna go next month?
Let me wait till it gets to a certain point. Then yeah.
All right, thanks. Cool. Well, I'm on the Discord. I'm on the Slack. We're always on these meetings, and no pressure. I'll just show something otherwise. All right, Simranjot, you're next.
Hi guys. I go by Sim. I'm new here. I completed a boot camp about 4 or 5 months ago, data analytics bootcamp, and with Python and JavaScript and whatnot. And recently I've been trying to apply for a bunch of jobs, interviews. I haven't really done projects otherwise, but I've been meaning to start a new project and trying to browse for some ideas and whatnot. And I'm fairly new to programming as well, so it's been a very random journey so far. So yeah.
Cool. Definitely check out Automate the Boring Stuff then, and jump on the Discord and the Slack and talk to people. People have a lot to say about stuff if you haven't noticed. All right, next up, Outlier Studios, here in the same room as me. All right, Mike, you're on the.
Hey, what up, y'all?
Cool.
My name is Michael Malcolm Thompson. California originally. I've known him 31 years. So here at my house in Virginia Beach, Virginia, Outlier Studio, building a content hub here in Virginia Beach, professional grade studio.
follow us on YouTube for a chance to win PS5 and some money. Also follow us on Instagram and Twitter, Outlier Podcast on YouTube, Outlier Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. The format of what we're going to do content-wise is going to be Military Mondays, live call-in show, Trying Tuesdays, more of just current affairs and political talk. Wednesdays is going to be a show with females, Virginia Beach Bikini Talk. We live on the beach right here in Virginia Beach, so pretty simple content to produce there. And then Thursday, Friday is going to be our in-studio guest, more of a long-form conversation. We did a trial run this past February with Sean Madsen, Navy SEAL and now entrepreneur. I have a military background. And then coming in the summertime is going to be a special, I'm a chef, so a special cooking show called Hot Tub Queen and Sandwich King. I'm gonna make gourmet sandwiches from a hot tub with like a 70s like baseball all-star flair. I'm gonna have like sideburns, mustache. No, I'm not kidding. I'm gonna make gourmet sandwiches from a hot tub.
That's great.
Talk like the SNL Dicka skits. So all that content will be on Outlier Podcast, and then we're gonna start leasing out studio space to aspiring content producers who want to produce content at professional grade levels at minimal cost. So, rock on.
Yeah, and as you can see, I'm yet to fully integrate SacPy into it. I have some much nicer toys in front of me that I'd like to integrate, but couldn't get it for this round. Next round, assuming I'm here. But yeah, he's got a great setup here. I'm hoping to do some Python with OBS. There's some things you can do with scene changes that I think we can drive based on the microphones. I know Zoom does a pretty good job of putting the current speaker in front of it, and I think I could approximately do that in app. So I'm gonna bug you guys about how to do that in the Brazen Discord. There's an Outliers chat channel for that. All right, Camille, you're up next.
All right, hello, I'm Camille. I'm really new to coding. I recently made a little program, I call it a feelings machine, where it'll prompt you for a feeling. And then once you put that in, it'll say something kind of cute back to you. Just really practicing the if, else. And if you put in an emotion that it doesn't know, it screams. So it's really fun. And that's about it. I'm working through the Python for Everyone on Coursera. So I don't really know very much yet, but it's fun. The more I do it, the more I learn. And then it's like, oh, I can actually do something that I couldn't do a couple weeks ago. And yeah, that's about it.
Right, good stuff.
Oh no, yeah. After the stand-up, will you share that on your screen? We've got a few more to go.
I'm on my phone right now, so I don't really know how I can share that, but I can share it at some point.
Cool. All right, Angela, you're up next. Thanks, Camille.
Hello, everyone. I'm Angela, and as of right now, I've actually have quite a bit of an experience with Python. So I'm currently a second-year student in university. So I've done so I think it was about a year ago. I just started learning Python, like how to like the variables, loops, functions, and like all the basic stuff. And I've also had a little bit of experience with C++ as well. Yeah, and I'm currently like still working on it, so I can like eventually go to like bigger projects like what I've been seeing today.
Great.
Very cool. All right, Tim, are you there?
I am, yeah, thanks. Thank you guys for doing this. I'm new here as well. The pressure washer guy stopped so I can unmute finally, but I was a C# guy, and recently one of my friends said, hey, you shouldn't use ASP for this website, you should use Django. So I taught myself Python with programming with Mosh, and I've been using it almost every day since then. I'm now a database administrator in radiology, and have been able to use it to read medical data files and basically automate the boring stuff, automate opening these files and reading bits of metadata out of them, categorizing files, and recently just completed a project of reading 400 million files. It took about a week to run through, and that was really challenging for me because it was a lot of making sure I do it right the first time, because there is no going back, and also doing it as fast as possible. So that was a really great project. I never want to do it again though.
Yeah, I always
You just need a supercomputer. You know, maybe about 1,000 nodes on a supercomputer.
Yeah, I asked, my boss said, hey, spin up a botnet and you can basically run it in an hour. But it was all targeting one server. Yeah, it was all coming off one server. So I'm sure 1,000 requests a second at a Windows file system would crash the entire network, and we'd lose all the files that I'm trying to measure. So we opted not to, but we're here. It worked.
That's awesome.
I do have a question for you guys. I'm starting a new project just for fun, involving the stock market. That's always been something interesting for me. And I'm toying with the idea of Django versus Node.js, and mostly just because I want to learn it. But I did some research, and I guess some very large companies are using Django in production. I have a couple of production apps running off of it, but they're small scale. This is something that I want to be able to scale to potentially be a large platform. Would you guys recommend starting with Node.js because it's new and it would be a good learning opportunity, or is it a crap language and I should avoid?
Well, I know for starters, Robert is trying to add another monthly event for Python and Node. So maybe that's a place to discuss that one. I'd be interested to see if you'd be willing to present on any of your Django work at future meetups.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would that be something you'd be into?
Yeah, it's a HIPAA secure site, but I do have a local copy of it that is just dummy data inside of it. It's really cool. It's a full kind of an ERP CRM system for a transportation company, and uses a lot of things like Google APIs and IP, basically passes in IP lookups to make sure that I'm not getting hacked. Lots of little things. It's not anything super impressive, but they love it. And it's easy. It's automating all of the boring, awful calculations like billing and mileage and all sorts of stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, if you'd like to if you'd be willing to package that up into a presentation, that'd be awesome.
Sure.
Cool. All right, and finally, Fernando, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I saw some unmuting in the past. What do you got for us? Project updates or blockers? Oh, all right. Well, anyway, all right, we're starting to get to the end of the time. I'm gonna just leave the Zoom call open. But did anyone have any other questions they wanted to follow up on? I know I cut a few of you off. Tanim was getting into it again. Tanim, you want to jump back in where you were?
I was just going to quickly say Jupyter is really great for people starting out in case people drop off. Like just because it's very interactive and everything before.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
Okay.
So, no, go ahead.
I just had a quick question. What do you mean by blockers, Woody?
Blockers. If you're working on a project and you're stuck on something, it's a blocker. Sorry. The bad joke was that I was making this social event into a work event. doing this as a stand-up. I don't know. Is anyone not familiar with the agile methodology like Scrum?
I don't know what that
Yeah, I don't know.
is. I've heard of it.
Okay, stand-up meeting is the meeting you have at the beginning of the day, and everyone stands for it, so that you go really quick and just like give a quick update, and then it starts conversations for the rest of the day. Usually, there's someone who's in charge of saying like, "All right, stop talking too much." Just like that could be an email. We'll follow up on that. Yeah, it's the idea that like if you can coordinate everyone's efforts as though in a scrum, like in rugby, then you can move the ball forward more reliably. And then it's a way to like, sort of do the fuzzy logic of, all right, wait, did we work in the wrong direction? Okay, stop. Let's go back to where we were. All right, now everyone push, go.
Hey, I'd like to say something, and thanks, Tanim, for that link. I don't know why I didn't check that out. I should have checked Python ASN.1. I should have been able to get to that. I think I'm going to have some fun trying to build some ASN.1 code converter.
How big is the data set? How big are these serialized pieces of data?
The data that someone has provided to me is huge. I was already working at it and trying to see if I could do it, and I realized that I could not copy it. It was simply huge, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a small sample ASN.1 data, and then try to see how it works, and then maybe see, and then I think the data might be a little buggy too, because I see traces of if that is a simple ASN.1 data, then why does it have some traces of US East to compute? So it's been pulled off from maybe an S3 storage, and so I need to check that out. But
how big is it? Is it like a gigabyte class size or bigger?
No, it's not gigabytes. It's maybe it's about 6 megabytes. So.
Oh, that's tiny.
it's small, but it's all. It's a text document, which if I want to copy it into that code, it's huge. So I have to see how to maybe pull that data. Rather than use that sample code that's there on that ASN.1 site. So I'm going to try that out. But I'd like to offer something else, to the group, actually. I'm very excited to be here. So I'm part of another group, which is the ACM Sacramento chapter group. How many of you have heard of the ACM group?
I've heard of ACM, but
you heard of ACM at least, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. not the group.
So
I've heard of ACM as well.
I'm sorry?
I just said I've heard of it as well.
Yeah, so ACM is the oldest and largest nonprofit professional compute society. It was founded in 1947, before you and I were born, right? And we founded the ACM Sacramento chapter sometime back with the inspiration from Dr. Win Cerf. We have had many distinguished speaker talks and the Future World Symposium and other things, very nice events there. And last year I had the opportunity to have the keynote from Intel Vice President for IoT. And they've given me something which I'd like to offer, to the group, because it means a lot of coding in Python, and I'm sure you guys would love to play with this. So I have some of these Intel neural compute sticks. So this neural compute stick is a vision processing unit. So this is the thing, this vision processing unit. VPU, you just plug it into your laptop or into a Raspberry Pi or anything, and you can use it to create convolution neural networks for AI, machine learning, vision processing, And I'm sure if you look at it and maybe hack it a little bit, you'll be able to build up some, just check it out, Intel NCS2 neural compute stick and Python and Raspberry Pi. I think, we can create some very exciting kits. I created
Torch on it?
What's that?
Can we run Torch or Keras on this compute stick?
You could, if you use, basically, Intel has also come up with another tool set. They call it as the Intel OpenVINO. So the OpenVINO is an open source. It's Intel's, implementation of the open source visual inferencing for neural network optimization. So that's what OpenVINO stands for, visual inferencing for neural network optimization. And it allows you to create an inference and then run it for anything. So you could run PyTorch, you could run TensorFlow, you could run, anything. And then basically it optimizes on Intel platform. So, I have a call for submission. We have a call for submission. I can put that in here. They're working with the professionals as well as looking for students to participate as well. But it will be great to see if anyone has an interesting application where you'd like to apply this. I think I can get a few Intel neural compute sticks sponsored. So particularly, I'd like folks from Sacramento to use this Intel NCS2 and the OpenVINO as well. I have a download link for the OpenVINO as well. You can download that, and it's great fun, and you can build it for detecting video objects from a video stream. So let's say you have a video stream of video from the traffic intersection. You can pull out video objects like cars, buses, bikes, pedestrians. I played with this project some time back, and then there are so many other very cool, sexy things which you can do. So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. And if anyone wants to try it out, I have a few of these neural compute sticks, which I'd love to give you. So maybe, I guess, Woody, we can talk, Tanim, anyone else, whoever would be interested. Yeah. Let's work out something, on this.
Yeah, that's incredibly generous. Thank you. Yeah, if you put that in the chat on the Zoom, but also in the Slack or the Discord, I think that would be a great starting point. Our numbers are growing in both channels. Oh, also today I think we hit 1,000 meetup subscribers. But
all right,
thank you so much for that. I'm sorry, I missed that.
I have not been on the Discord chat for some time, so if you can put that chat link, I'll definitely post there.
Oof.
That's great. Thanks, Harsh.
Yeah, pleasure. Yeah, it'll be good fun, so.
Well,
I think we can develop some great collaboration and build up. It'll be nice to have some teams and participate in this. There are some applications I've been thinking of. I've been building up a few, but I'd like to, maybe create teams and build up more together. And
all right, so you want to mostly target people in the Sacramento area, though, right? So
it could be from anywhere.
Okay.
these days with with Zoom and virtual, I guess, we can have people from anywhere. So
even Virginia.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. We have to make arrangements for seeing how we can get the stick over to you, dispatch to you. But otherwise, in Sacramento, we can give it easily. Maybe if you get me a cup of coffee, I can come and bring it to you.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll go to like Temple Roasters or something. Awesome. All right, I showed it in the Slack, and I will share it in the Discord as well. Great. Yeah. So he sent a form, Google form link. Fill that out if you're interested. That is incredibly generous. Thank you, Harsh.
Pleasure. Yeah. Yeah. I hope we'll have a few, very interesting presenters and some nice interesting solutions for this. Also trying to create a group for addressing challenges that a lot of sectors are facing right now because of the COVID, right? So I think what you guys are doing, some of the things which you guys are doing, they can definitely be very helpful for addressing the challenges that a lot of people are facing. I think technology will be able to help address so many things which need to be built up as it opens up. I got my second vaccination shot 2 days back, so I'm fine. I didn't have any fever or headache or anything like that. So I say go for your vaccination shot if you are getting one.
I agree. I was lucky enough to get one last month, or well, late Feb, and yeah, both of them were good.
Yeah, awesome. The more of us that we get vaccinated, the better it'll be to hang out with people, other people, I guess. Hopefully, before there's a variant.
Well, almost everyone will be eligible like relatively soon here, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, April 16th, that's the eligibility is open to everybody at that point.
Right, right.
For your information, the Fair Oaks Urgent Care Now Center is giving vaccination for anyone who wants to get an appointment and get it, right? So, at any age, you can just go and get it, try to get an appointment and get the vaccination there. Okay, so look forward to a bit more in this.
All right, well, I think we're winding down here. It's coming up at the top of the hour. Thanks, everyone. That was another good one. Wait, I think I might have some outro slides here. More snaky stuff. Yep, there we go. Because actual Python. Thanks again to our sponsor, PyBay, for their generous lending of this Zoom account. Thanks, Tanim.
Thank you. Yeah.
And thanks to everyone for chiming in with their stand-up updates. That was kind of fun. We should do that more frequently.
Hey, can I ask Harsh real quick? So Harsh, I went to the SAC ACM page, and so are you guys not have virtual meetings, chapter meetings?
Yes, we do have local chapter meetings. Yeah.
Okay, I just on your calendar, I didn't see anything for April or May.
Oh, yeah, there is one for April 22nd. I know the calendar has not been updated for some time, but there is one on April 22nd, and there is one on May. The one on April 22nd is on Think Beyond Coding, so That's Dr. Donald something, I forget the last name, but I remember the first name for some reason. He's Professor Emeritus. He's going to talk and it's going to be fun. And then we have one on deep learning based security solutions for the Internet of Medical Things. But why doesn't that one for the April 22nd event open up? And in the old days, we'd have pizza and stuff, but now it is all on Zoom, so there's no charge to attend. And I think I have the link for that too.
Great, thank you, Harsh. I didn't mean to interrupt. I wanted to catch.
Yeah, no problems. I just put the link in here.
Well, this was the announcement section anyway. So, anybody got any announcements?
Segue.
Wait, also, I got like one last question. I know I really should have asked this earlier, like when you guys were like showing us like
No
like,
worries.
Yeah, I know it was like Jupyter, so I've never actually heard of Jupyter before, and I just want to like have some ask once. Sorry.
Tanim, you want to take it back over? Jupyter.
Oh, well, it's a great way of just figuring out whether you're making a mistake quickly or whether you're on the right track. Otherwise, it's just a way of getting, doing the loop of trying something out, seeing if it works, and then trying again. And the nice thing about it is it just quickens the process quite a bit. There's quite a bit you can do with Jupyter. Let me see. Is it fine if I share something on my screen here?
Yeah.
All right.
Feel free, take it away.
It might take maybe 30 seconds or so to show. While you guys were doing this, I was ordering.
We can be here as long as we want.
Go back to. Let me see if I can show something that is not pizza related. Okay, so let me go back. Oh wait, shoot. It's going to be a bit of a hop, but let me just do it. Okay. Let's see. So let's see if I can go do this. Okay. So the nice thing about these tunnels is you can have the stuff living elsewhere, and even it'll basically punch holes through the VPN. So don't tell everybody this. Let's see. Yep. There we go. Here we go. Yes. I mean, it's sort of an open secret. Everybody does it. Okay. COVID-19 stats. So this repo that I have, it has a bunch of the
yeah, so Angela, the thing about Jupyter is it's a nice way to present your code on a website. And then it's also an interesting way to break down your thought process and step through the code just one line at a time. And when basically it allows you to have little segments of code and then a segment for output. And then you also have the opportunity to comment, which ultimately is kind of a description of what's going on in each of them. So you can see he's got a block of code, and it's not like it doesn't have to be just one line at a time. Like you don't want to go one line at a time for all the imports, for example, as you see there. What is that? Is that IN or LN? But line 3 there, that box has all those imports. So you wouldn't want to do a whole separate box for each of those. But you can see after that, it's got default directory to put visualization. And so it's kind of like commenting the code. I don't know. It's like an interesting way to represent the code that allows you to sort of conceptualize what's going on at each step. And
this is the way I've decided to do the documentation for,
Tanim, you're muted.
Oh, I'm unmuted. Okay. How do I?
Gestures though.
Oh, wait. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Oh no. Tanim's been perma-muted.
Wait, am I
Oh
been?
no.
Wait.
That's
I can
actually
hear
a
you.
cool, it's actually a cool map of the major rivers in the
Or
country.
my headphones
That's
dead?
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
Maybe my
Wait,
headphones
am
are
I
dying.
still muted or unmuted? Can
Or I can hear you.
anybody-
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay. But yeah, Woody brings up a good point. It's a way to just quickly, okay, here's a comment, here's some code, and here's some output. And this is an example of one of the things in my code documentation is demonstrating, okay, here's the continental US sort of map. And that's all done in a Jupyter notebook. And here's the code to do it all. It actually does other stuff too. It saves it to a file, and it also auto-crops the image. This was an earlier, SacPy meetup where I described code to do that, automatically do that stuff for me. And it's another, this is, what is this? Rhode Island, right? I think, or is it Providence? I think it's Providence, yes. Oh no, it's Rhode Island, see? Here are all the counties in Rhode Island. Here you see in red here are their FIPS codes. And here's a bunch of tiny little islands. And you brought up a good point, right? Some of the counties are a single region, right? 44003, for instance, but others are a bunch of tiny islands done together, like 44005. And that's where the geographical data lives. And here's the New York City Metro. And here are those visualizations. Here's the actual code, at a lowish level, to create the visualization plots of cumulative cases and cumulative deaths for the New York City metro area, and so on and so forth. You can do a lot there. I haven't even gone into all the interesting stuff I can do with Jupyter. You can actually make it animated. Like you can have sliders and buttons, so it acts like a widget that you can interact with. So yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff you can do with Jupyter notebooks.
So can I get started on Jupyter with like anything?
Yeah,
like
or
anything
so I was
you
going
can
to
do
mention
with Python, you can put on Jupyter. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
I should
don't
definitely
want
check it
to,
out.
What was that?
if you want to avoid the install for Jupyter or just to get started, there's also Google Colab.
Yeah, that's the way to start. Yes.
Which lets you, it's basically like a web implementation of Jupyter, I think.
Yeah.
And so I'll paste it into the chat.
Or you can actually Google Colab. I think that's what
yeah. You can, yeah, I always do it. I can never remember the name of it, so I always have to look it up. But I like the interface for Jupyter better. Like I just find you can do things easier and have everything local to your own machine, and it's a little bit nicer. But if you're just getting started and want to figure out like, oh, I can play this cell and like kind of the way it works in terms of the different cell types and that kind of thing, it's helpful. I mean, you can definitely get started on Colab. The other cool thing, I don't know if Tanim mentioned that, like, so one of the nice parts about like stepping through things in Colab is that, or in Jupyter, is that you maintain the state from the previous cells. So you don't have, that's why like he was able to load the data one time and then keep it loaded, and then like you can play around in your current cell and not have to reload everything before it, which can be time saving and just help you focus on whatever problem you're working on.
Right. Yeah, people wouldn't use or develop this if it weren't like useful or value add. And so, yeah, it's just a big value add for I use it all the time for my, everyday work too at Livermore Labs.
Right, I gotta go. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Yeah, me
thanks.
as well.
Let's
So,
see ya.
I gotta go too.
all right.
And
All
it
right,
was
I
it
think
was
this-
great. It was awesome.